Yeah, you are audible.
Thank you, sir. When today the whole world is celebrating 131st birth anniversary of Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, on this auspicious occasion, I greet you all from my bottom of heart. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya. To mark this event, Department of Dr. Ambedkar Thought and the Department of Students Development of our college have organized one-day international webinar, and it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all in this webinar. The inaugurator of today's webinar, Honorable Dr. Prashant Bokhare sir, Vice Chancellor of Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. The chairperson of this webinar, Honorable Dr. Devesh Kamble sir, Principal of the college and Secretary of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Education Society, Chanda, Bramhapuri. Respected participants, we have among us eminent resource persons of today's international webinar, Honorable Lama Rangdrol, who is not just writer, composer, producer, and he is African American teacher of Buddhism. And today he is going to deal with the topic 3 words for the hearts of Dr. Ambedkar and Lord Buddha's followers. I would like to welcome and thank all the dignitaries for accepting our invitation wholeheartedly. Being organizing secretary of this webinar, once again, I welcome you all on behalf of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Bramhapuri. Participants are kindly requested to mute their speaker as your noise could disturb our voice. After keynote address, we will have an interactive session. I request all the participants that if you want to ask any question, kindly post your question in chat box, or you can raise your hand to ask question. Now, I call upon Mr. Dipankar Kamble, Honorable Member of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Education Society, Chanda, Bramhapuri, to deliver an introductory speech. Dipankar Kamble.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning to everyone, and Jai Bhim, and happy Bhim Jayanti to happy 131st Bhim Jayanti to everyone present here. This lecture series of on the occasion of birth anniversary of Dr. Ambedkar, we have been doing this since last 2 years. Last year, Professor Scott was there as the keynote speaker, and this year we have Honorable Lama Rangdrol with us. So it gives us immense pleasure to host such eminent speaker at our institution, and it. Sorry, my voice is a bit weird. So it gives us immense pleasure to host eminent speakers like Honorable Lama sir, and we plan on carrying out this legacy for all coming years to celebrate Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's birth anniversary. And to our eminent to our today's guest Lama, I would like to point out this, that we have been having this legacy of continuing brotherhood between the African American folks and our Ambedkarite Buddhist folks. Like as you know that Dr. Ambedkar had a really keen interest in the Afro-American movement, where it's evident in the letter which he wrote to W.E.B. Du Bois, and also our founding president, Barrister Rajabhau Khobragare, when he was sent on a delegation from India to USA, he planned on meeting Martin Luther King Jr. So there has been this constant brotherhood between these two communities, and I'm really looking forward to what Lama sir speaks today in his keynote address. And off to the moderator. Thank you, and Jai Bhim.
Thanks, Dipankar, for your introductory speech. Now I request Rajesh Kosa sir to introduce inaugurator of today's webinar, Honorable Dr. Prashant Bokhare, Vice Chancellor, Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. Kosa sir. Yes, sir, you are not audible. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, sir.
Huh.
Thank you, Tuban, sir. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim, and good morning to one and all present here in today's one-day international webinar organized by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Bramhapuri district, Chandrapur, India. On the auspicious occasion of 131st birth anniversary of Dr. Babasaheb Ramji Ambedkar, the father of India's Constitution, I feel privileged to have been given the opportunity to welcome and introduce inaugurator of today's webinar, Honorable Dr. Prashant S. Bokhare, sir, the Vice Chancellor, Bolivar University. Some important aspects of Dr. Bokhare sir's all-round and dynamic personality regarding his academic qualification, experience, and vision. Dr. Bokhare sir is doctorate in traffic engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, Assam, India. He holds a Bachelor of Civil Engineering with distinction grade from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, Shivaji University, Kolhapur, Maharashtra, and Master of Engineering from Vishwesvaraya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur, in 1993. He has over 34 years of long experience in academic field. Worked as a principal for 5 years in RSR Rungta College of Engineering and Technology, and a dean, School of Engineering in O.P. Jindal University, Raigad, Chhattisgarh, for 3 years, and as a professor for 26 years. Sir has been engaged in several professional and academic activities. Recently, his work with Kasa Utensils, Kosa Textile, and Terracotta Pottery. He has also set up the Center of Excellence for Traditional Knowledge, Technology, and Culture at the O.P. Jindal University. He has also developed the concept of sustainable and manageable rural technology that is smart for the traditional industry. Also conducted about 25 seminars and webinars on National Education Policy 2020 for the school and college teachers. Sir has a wide participated in 20 webinars during COVID-19 pandemic. He has published 32 research papers in peer-reviewed journals and guided 8 research projects. Has also completed research project on black spot identification for the Durg-Raipur Express. Sir has got 296 citations for his various research papers. One of the important contributions of his research work is the formulation of acceleration and deceleration models for various vehicles in India. Sir has joined the Gondwana University, Gadchiroli, having a spatial goal and vision in his mind, especially to establish the hub for rural and tribal technology, making model college as a livelihood college. Also to include ecotourism in curriculum, starting sports activity center and maintaining the sports calendar in university and colleges, opening up part-time colleges for rural women. So, sir has a very wide, long list of his academic contribution. Now, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor of Gondwana University, Gadchiroli, Dr. Bokhare sir, and the inaugurator of today's webinar to declare that the webinar is inaugurated and also to deliver his inaugural speech, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Avtade sir and others for organizing such a wonderful webinar and on such a wonderful theme and on such a wonderful day. 14th April, as we all Indians know, is the birth anniversary day of Param Pujaniya Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who happens to be the Shilpakar of our Constitution. We all are living in the age of information and convert that information into knowledge and then disseminate knowledge into the wisdom. And in this age of information, knowledge, and wisdom, if we look at the constitutions of various countries, various societies in the world, you will find that Indian constitution is really a unique one. Why I call it unique one? Because the era in which this constitution was floated, adopted, was an era of turbulence. We all know 1947, 1946, 1948, 1949. We sustained the what I say, the wounds of partition between India and Pakistan. Lot many people they shifted their locations from Pakistan to India and other way around. And lot of turbulence took place in the whole society. And in such scenario, Param Pujaniya Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar dedicated a unique constitution to this nation. The beauty of this constitution is that it was very much relevant 75 years ago, and it is equally, or rather I would say it is more relevant 75 years after its inception, that is right now. So writing down such a universal constitution is really the great contribution of Param Pujaniya Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, not only towards this country and not towards his fellow citizens of this country, but towards the humanity. Because if you open up the Constitution of India, you will find that in its letter and spirit both, it is the Constitution of humanity. तो मानवतेचा जाहीरनामा आहे. So we must bow down to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and we must thank him. Not only thank him, we should be indebted to him for such a wonderful contribution to India. And more so, I always wonder that the person who received lot of pains from the society, who received lot of neglect from the society, who was not respected by the society, what he has given back to the society? We say in Marathi कि किसी ने अगर हमें पत्थर मारा है तो हम उसको ईंट का जवाब पत्थर से, ऐसा हम बोलते हैं. ईंट मारी तो हम पत्थर मारेंगे. Beauty and the greatness of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar is that people, लोगों ने उनको इतनी तकलीफ दिया, उसके बावजूद उन्होंने लोगों को इतना ब्यूटीफुल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दिया. This is the beauty of a great person. And that's why हम जो बोलते हैं ना, after we are celebrating his 131st birth anniversary, why we remember such a person for 131 years? This is behind that. कि उनको जो मिला समाज से, उसका जवाब उन्होंने इतने सुंदर तरीके से दिया. अगर हमको कोई आके गाली देता है तो हम भी उसको गाली देते हैं, लेकिन डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आम्बेडकर इतनी उपेक्षा और इतना अपमान सहन करने के बाद भी उन्होंने अगर इस देश को कुछ दिया है तो इतना सुंदर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दिया. दिस इज हिज ग्रेटनेस. एंड व्हाट शुड वी लर्न फ्रॉम हिम? डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आम्बेडकर का अगर आप पर्सनल प्रोफाइल देखेंगे, if you look at his intelligentsia, if you just go through one book written by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the book is The Problem of the Rupee, so you will come to know his intelligentsia. वो कितने बुद्धिमान थे ये आपको पता चले. इतना बुद्धिमान व्यक्ति अगर सोचता तो वो अपने व्यक्तिगत जीवन में अपने फैमिली के लिए, अपने परिवार के लिए बहुत कुछ कर सकते थे. He could have done a lot for his family and for himself. प्रॉबेबली अगर वो लंदन में ही रहते तो डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आम्बेडकर को इकोनॉमिक्स का और पॉलिटिकल साइंस का दोनों का नोबेल प्राइज मिलता। इतने उनके रिलेवेंट इकोनॉमिक थॉट्स थे और सोशियो पॉलिटिकल थॉट्स थे। बट ही सैक्रिफाइस्ड एवरीथिंग, came back to India for his fellow Indians and served them in such a beautiful manner. What kind of lesson should we take from him? उन्होंने जैसे अपने से जो लोग पिछड़े हुए हैं उनके लिए काम किया, हम भी जब काम करते हैं, आज हम समाज में एक ओहदे पे है, हम सब लोग किसी ना किसी ओहदे पे है, तो हमें ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि मेरे से पीछे कौन है, कौन पिछड़ा हुआ है, क्या मैं उसको हाथ पकड़ के उठा सकता हूँ। आज मुझे डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आम्बेडकर की वजह से एक पोजीशन पे मैं पहुंचा हूं, तो क्या ये मेरी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है कि समाज में मेरे से जो पिछड़े हुए हैं, मेरे जैसी सुख सुविधाएं जिनको नहीं मिल सकती, मेरे जैसा एजुकेशन जिनको नहीं मिल सकता, मेरे जैसा एम्बियंस जिनको नहीं मिल सकता, क्या उनके लिए मैं मेरे रिसोर्सेस कुछ हद तक यूज कर सकता हूँ? If we can think in this direction, आपण जर वंचितांसाठी काही करू शकलो, समाजातल्या शेवटच्या माणसासाठी काही करू शकलो, तर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांना त्यांच्या जयंतीला आठवण केल्यासारखं होईल, त्यांचं पुण्यस्मरण केल्यासारखं होईल. पण आपण जर आपल्यातच मशगूल राहिलो, मी माझा परिवार आणि मी ह्यांच्यासाठीच काम करीन आणि आम्हीच पुढे जात राहू आणि माझ्या मागून येणारे जे बांधव आहेत त्यांच्याकडे मी लक्ष देणार नाही, असा विचार केला तर डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांनी लावलेली ज्योत ही एका ज्योतीतनं 1000 ज्योती पेटल्या असं होणार नाही. त्यांनी एक ज्योत लावली आहे, त्या एका ज्योतीच्या आपल्याला 1000 ज्योती, 1000च्या लाख, लाखच्या कोटी ज्योती करायच्या. आणि ह्या समाजातला जो प्रत्येक पिछडा माणूस आहे, शेवटचा माणूस आहे, त्या माणसाला आपल्याला त्याचं जगणं हे आपल्याला थोडं सुसह्य करायचं. हे माझ्या दैनंदिन कामकाजाव्यतिरिक्त मी त्या माणसाचं जगणं थोडं सुसह्य करू शकतो का? आज बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांमुळे माझं जगणं सुसह्य झालं. इतरांचं जगणं मी थोडं का होईना त्या महामानवापर्यंत मी पोहोचू शकत नाही, त्यांच्या एवढी उंची मी गाठू शकत नाही, पण त्यांच्या 1/1000 1,00,000 काम करून मी या शेवटच्या माणसाच्या प्रती माझी असलेली बांधिलकी दाखवून ती प्रत्यक्ष कृतीमध्ये आणून ह्याला हात धरून उभं करू शकतो का? असा जर विचार आपण ह्या निमित्ताने केला तर ते मला वाटतं बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांना जयंती दिनी सगळ्यात रिलिव्हंट त्यांची आठवण आपण केलेली आहे, सगळ्यात रिलिव्हंट त्यांना पुष्पांजली वाहिलेली आहे असं मला वाटतं. आपल्या संस्थेने हा वेबिनार आयोजित केला आणि मला माझे विचार व्यक्त करण्यासाठी आपण इथे बोलवलं. आय एम हायली थँकफुल टू डॉक्टर देवेश कांबळे अँड हिज टीम. यू आर रिअली डुईंग व्हेरी गुड वर्क. समाजामध्ये आपल्याविषयी, आपल्या संस्थेविषयी, डॉक्टर देवेश कांबळे सरांविषयी जी भावना आहे त्या भावनेचा आपण सगळेजण, ह्या चांगल्या भावनेचा आपण सगळेजण उपयोग करूया आणि जो शेवटचा माणूस आहे त्या शेवटच्या माणसाचं जगणं थोडं का होईना सुसह्य करण्याचा, सुकर करण्याचा प्रयत्न करूया अशी प्रतिज्ञा आपण ह्या प्रसंगी घेऊया. आणि मला बोलवलं, मला शांतपणे ऐकून घेतलं, ह्याबद्दल मी आपला आभारी आहे. आणि एक आवाहन करून मी थांबीन की डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांच्या जयंतीच्या दिनी आपण एक असा संकल्प करूया की पुढच्या जयंतीच्या आधी मी डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचं किमान एक पुस्तक वाचीन, किमान एक पुस्तक. काहीच नव्हे तर बुद्ध अँड हिज धम्म वाचीन, काहीच नव्हे तर डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचा MA इकॉनॉमिक्सचा थिसिस वाचेन, काहीच नव्हे तर डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचा DSCचा थिसिस मी वाचेन, काहीच नव्हे तर दी प्रॉब्लेम ऑफ द रुपी हे त्यांचं एखादं पुस्तक वाचेन. असं कुठलं तरी एक पुस्तक मी वाचीन, त्याचं मनन करीन आणि समाजातल्या शेवटच्या माणसाच्या हितासाठी ह्या विचारांचा उपयोग करून पुढच्या 14 एप्रिलच्या आधी मी काही ना काही स्वतःशी जे कमिट केलेलं आहे त्याचा हिशेब स्वतःशीच सादर करीन. असा एक संकल्प आपण सगळेजण करूया आणि डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांना, ह्या महामानवाला खऱ्या अर्थाने श्रद्धांजली अर्पण करू. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद सर. आपला जो संकल्प आहे एक पुस्तक वाचण्याचा, निश्चितपणे बाबासाहेबांनी सांगितलं की ज्यांच्या घरी पुस्तकाचं घर नसेल, पुस्तकांसाठी जागा नसेल, ते घर घर नाही आहे. आणि आपण जो आशावाद व्यक्त केलात की येणाऱ्या 14 एप्रिलपर्यंत किमान एक पुस्तक तरी वाचावं, एक नव्हे तर अनेक पुस्तकं आजच्या या प्रसंगी वाचण्याचा मानस मानण्याची प्रतिज्ञा अनेक लोकांनी केली आहे, असं मी आपल्याला अभिवचन देतो आहे. Now I would prefer to call Dr. Dharmapal Phulzale sir to introduce keynote speaker of today's webinar, Honorable Lama Rangrol sir. Dr. Phulzale sir.
Thank you, Tufan Avtade sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
My name is Dr. Dharmapal Phulzale. It is my honor to introduce keynote speaker of today's international webinar, Honorable Lama Rangrol. Lama Rangrol is a descendant of 18th century slavery in America. In 1994, he became the first in his family's history to convert from their religion of enslavement. He instead became a follower of Lord Buddha, which eventually led him to the life and teachings of Dr. Ambedkar. Since then, he has published 6 books on Buddhism's relevance to African Americans, produced an award-winning film on Cambodia's Angkor monuments, and traveled widely. This includes having traveled 1,000 miles into Maharashtra, teaching and living among Ambedkarites exclusively. His travel included mediation and pilgrimage to Ajanta and Ellora, as well as teaching at Nagaloka. In 2003, Lama Rangrol received the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Service Award. In 2016, he presented a talk at Columbia University for Dr. Ambedkar's 125th anniversary. In 2017, he was invited by the Indian government to present a talk on social justice for Dr. Ambedkar's 126th anniversary in Bengaluru. In 2018, he was presented the Torchbearer Award, which the late Nelson Mandela recognized, and the Lama now shares with the late Bishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa. His work continued globally in 9 countries on 4 continents. In 2021, despite worldwide COVID pandemic conditions, Lama Rangrol was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Such a versatile personality today we have with us. I cordially request you, sir, to deliver keynote address. Honorable Rangrol Rama, sir, over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. It's quite amazing to me to be in the presence of such esteemed scholars, leaders, activists, and followers of Dr. Ambedkar's teachings. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions after my talks and participating with you in those discussions. So I don't want to take too much time with my introductory comments, but I think the introduction was thorough, but it's, I think, important to begin by sharing with you that in America, as an African American, there is no academic path from birth religions here to Buddhism, and particularly to the study and appreciation for Ambedkar's thoughts. All of the work that I did in my generation and moving forward to this moment has been out of a sincere interest to be a better human being. And it was that thought that led me away from my birth religion that my family acquired as a result of enslavement justified by that religion, to Buddhism, and then eventually to Dr. Ambedkar. And the way that I found relevance in Dr. Ambedkar's teachings were, one, I wrote a book called Black Buddha, which got me in a lot of trouble in America because at that time, which was around 2000, it was considered offensive to put the word Black, meaning African American people, and Buddha in the same phrase. It was considered racist, and I was disinvited to talk at many Buddhist centers in America as a result of that book. And in that book, I told a little personal family history about myself, being that my family was enslaved in the northern part of America in Massachusetts. And on our plantation, they cultivated the crop that was grown was slaves, human beings. We were the crop. And so this skin color was cultivated particularly in women who were taught to read and write and do music and basically be literate and artistic so that they could be sold to the South to rich landowners for their pleasure. And let's understand that slavery was a time in America where every crime imaginable was committed against the slaves. And so in this book, Black Buddha, I made a parallel between the situation of the women, some in my family in slavery, and the Devadasi. And this book, it caught me by surprise because I thought, well, you know, people in China see a Chinese Buddha, in Japan, they see Buddha's Japanese, and there's no problem. But I did not realize that racism had so impeded the idea of Buddhism in America that for Black people, African Americans, to see Buddha as being African was deeply controversial. And so I share that with you as the kind of environment that was taking everything and giving nothing with regards to my transition into Buddhism and to Ambedkar thought. And at one point, I had a very wonderful group of students, and I continued to teach them about Buddhism and Ambedkar. And the book, Black Buddha, went around the world, and it wound up in India. And Mangesh Dahiwali at Manuski read it and suggested that we have students meet, that he would come. And so I was a keynote speaker for the first conference between Ambedkarite followers and African-American meditators in America. While I was there, he said, you should come to India. I said, oh, well, I'll come, but I want to meet as many Ambedkarites as possible. I don't want to come. I'm not interested in going to Bodh Gaya. I'm not interested in, tourist Buddhism. I want to meet the people, because Ambedkar was rich in thought for me. And so he made possible this tour that allowed me to come. That was how I came to India the first time. And since then, the issue has always been Ambedkar's, the power of ethical thought, how a thought can move a nation. One thought, one idea, one intensely compassionate idea can have such tremendous impact on people. And it is that notion that has continued to resonate in my life with regards to my work. Now, to give you a little bit more background on what it's like to be an African American who is in the position I am, the pastor of the oldest Black Christian church in America, west of the Mississippi, wrote an article when I was working out of San Francisco and said that I was a traitor to my race, traitor to the civil rights movement, and a traitor to the Christian legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so there was a very public backlash, not just from the Buddhist community, but from the African-American community as well. And so this kind of territory is the ground in which I was able to test the relevance of Buddhism on Western soil and Dr. Ambedkar's teachings specifically. Since that time, I've come to teach widely, as I was introduced. I've taught for the Ambedkar International Mission, a series of teachings, virtual, and the Ambedkar Association of North America. I teach the children's group that's associated with the Ambedkar International Mission, and they are international young people, United Arab Emirates and beyond. And so I also have taught 2 honor retreats, and in those retreats, of course, people come to me with issues regarding family and the consequences of moving into a foreign culture and foreign society and all the difficulties. Most of the leaders I have been in their homes, close to their families. And so I enjoy a really, really wonderful relationship with those organizations. Also, I'm just giving you a sense of the scope of my work. I have a good friendship with folks who have been involved in the Dalit Panthers. I was also in my youth a Panther in the Los Angeles area, and I have a relationship, just a historic relationship with the actual Panthers. And I teach exclusively marginalized communities in the world. So I have students who are up in the Arctic, in the Baltics, and I have students in South Africa, many places. And in all these places, the idea of ethical thought and Ambedkar I found to be relevant, whether I teach it specifically as Ambedkarite thought, or I teach it specifically with the importance and emphasis on ethics as a result, compared to intellectual acumen, meaning that following in Dr. Ambedkar's idea, any person can have an ethical idea, but it's difficult in this world to become educated. It's difficult in this world to actually be able to be enriched by the resources that are available for developing intellect over a lifetime. And so these things I find to be very important in the world, and they led to the apex of my thought in Western thinking, the Buddhism and Ambedkarism, and it is because of those 2 ideas at the pinnacle of my thought that I came to be nominated for the Nobel Prize. Now, understand that I have never been, nor do I come from a wealthy background. I was just in the lower middle class in America. I struggled. My mother struggled. My father went to war and came back, what we call shell-shocked. His mind was so disturbed by the visceral destruction of war that he eventually went into a veterans hospital and he never came home. So I grew up in a single parent household with my mother working most of the time. So I was, as we say in America, on the street. So I'm a street boy. And that's a long way from the Nobel Prize, isn't it? Even in America. And it is because of these opportunities afforded to developing my mind with particularly Buddhism and Dr. Ambedkar that I've come to realize that my humanity is not shaped by what I was born into. It is shaped by the ethics of my mind. I wanted to give you, just a kind of a real idea of what it's like to be an international person, to be an international teacher, to live every day in that mindset. And so the reality is that things like time zones disappear. I sleep in between calls I get from all over the world every day. And I have made it a point in my practice that when I get a call, I answer it immediately as soon as I can. And people all over the world, they often remark, Lamaji, it's got to be 4 o'clock in the morning. How are you up answering my call? And the fact is that my lifestyle is such that I no longer think in terms of time in a conventional way. As a result, I have a stable family foundation, which I advocate for all of my students. When I first began studying Buddhism with the abbot of the Dalai Lama's personal monastery, I said to him, okay, I'm your student. What do I study? And he said, everything. And he meant it literally, to begin studying and never stop. Every waking moment that I am not in service to humanity, I'm studying. And it's necessary, I find, which he was explaining to me through that instruction, was this transitional knowledge, this ability to move through cultures, to move across continents, to move in and out of difficult places, to traverse language, concepts, identities, and all of the differences that human beings have throughout the world. To be able to move through that relatively unobstructedly requires a tremendous amount of knowledge and understanding of the human psyche, the generic problematics that all human beings face in this time, and so on and so forth. And so the idea of study itself became very much a part, as this kind of disappeared here, very much a part of Buddhism and Ambedkarism. And it means if I'm going to talk to people in the Arctic, the Sami people, for those of you who may know who they are, then I need to study Sami history, I need to study Sami language, I need to study Sami relationships to reindeer, I need to study the flora fauna of that particular region of the world, their social political background, their gender identities, their hopes and aspirations for their children, the consequences of conquest and land theft and things of this nature, and really become conversant in what's important to them. And I'm going to get to my few words, but I did want to also share with you that part of my work and that knowledge base is to not only serve the people who are under my auspices, but to become aware of their enemies. Because Buddhism has enemies, people have enemies, and they manifest in different ways in different places, but they all have one thing in common: they're destructive by nature. So the educational part for me in my work, carrying Buddhism across all of these lines, is how not to upset the enemies of the people I'm trying to serve. How to have impact, how to be supportive, how to be dynamic, how to be engaged, and yet in a way that does not aggravate the situation of the people whom I encounter. How to make things better rather than make them worse. How to respect leaders. How to be a positive role model for children. How to cultivate international friends. As a Buddhist, I'm very aware that I cannot take the Nobel Prize with me. It has not a lot of meaning to me. What I am more concerned about and more focused on is the fact that it's something I can leave behind as an expression of thanks and appreciation for the support that I have garnered over the years by so many people. My course has just been to simply try to walk in dignity in among the forest of powerful enemies of the people I serve and their negative intentions, and to somehow, through my work, to cause the negativity of those enemies to fall at the feet of the people I serve like delicate petals of flowers. Now, given that background, I want to share with you how I came to try to embody the blazing compassion of Dr. Ambedkar that is at the core of his ideas, the unrelenting concern for human beings. And so I share these three words and a few extras, and that will conclude my discussion with you. And I share them with the gravity of the importance of moving through the Ambedkarite world globally, as well as drawing connections for people in the non-Ambedkarite world about the powerful primary importance of Dr. Ambedkar's thought. So the first word in the Tibetan tradition, in my particular tradition of the Tibet tradition, much emphasis is on pith. If we can consolidate a large topic into a single word, it can carry across traditions, it can carry across cultures, it can carry across languages, it can carry across the lines of face-to-face interactions into the virtual world. The pith is the key. How to speak in the language of the laity, in the average person, in simple phrases. So I don't see these words as words. I see them as huge concepts wrapped in words, in a word. So the first word I wanted to share with you, from my heart to yours, as a descendant of slavery that Babasaheb spoke of and wrote of. The first word is assessment. For me, this word assessment, to assess, means to take your mind to the furthest reaches of its intellectual prowess and formulate a conceptual understanding, a dynamic understanding of a particular idea, and then be able to assess the core meaning of it and be able to hold it and look at it and examine it very finely. A huge idea assessed down to a single word and then look at it very carefully. Because it is through that process that one comes to comprehend the need for the next word, which is to decide. That is, of all of the assessments done, of all the possibilities, of all of the nuances, of all of the possible directions and misdirections, after looking at the entire thing, you must decide, is this relevant or not? Is it relevant to humanity? Is it relevant to Buddhism? Is it relevant to Ambedkarite thought? Yes or no? If it's not, move on. If it is, then that leads to the next word. And the next word is confidence. To have confidence in your assessment, to have confidence in your decision, and to move forward with confidence, come what may. Because the only thing that can deter you is to find that your assessment was incorrect or that your decision needed to be assessed more deeply. And I find that these three words have been a guiding principle in this experience of traversing the world for a person like me who comes in from a background of very little. Because it is Dr. Ambedkar's ability to be able to fine-tune an idea, transform it into an ethical thought, and then move a nation. This power is as important as its thought itself, because that is at the pinnacle, it's at the forefront, the bow of the ship of Ambedkar penetrating into the international experience. The strength of the assessment, the decisions, and the confidence of the people who are holding responsibilities that are unbelievably important really boils down to these three words. And there are other words. I'll give you just a couple just for your consideration. And I'm telling you about the practical approach that's globally relevant, that can sustain itself not only outside of India in the Ambedkarite community, but it can have impact throughout the world. The next word would be surrender. And that obviously Babasaheb never surrendered anything. But in order for us to really be at one with the intense compassion that was underneath all of his work, we have to surrender to him. We have to surrender. And I have been in situations abroad, outside of India, where people are, some Ambedkarites are still struggling with the vows, the Buddhist vows. They want, 5 or 6, maybe 7, but they don't want to do all of them, because it's difficult for some reason for them to surrender completely to his ideas. And so this is problematic. And it is something to discuss with regards to the relevance of being a model of Ambedkarism and Buddhism in the world. When I got put out of American Buddhism for writing Black Buddha and advocating Ambedkar, I just said, okay, well, I'll have to do my practice outside of American Buddhism, right? I never stopped. Some people made it so I couldn't get any donations. They kind of shut me off financially. I said, okay, well, I'll just be homeless and I'll be a teacher and be a homeless teacher. That's fine. I just kept going. I'm surrendered. I'm not turning back in the richest country in the world to be a Buddhist teacher who's poor, whose students struggle. Is shameful in a certain way from a capitalistic point of view. But it is the place, the ground, where the cultivation of a mind can lead to the Nobel Prize. I know this. Yeah, I didn't know it then, but I know it now. The next word is experiential. I talk to my students about this. It's very important. Stop talking. Don't give me philosophy. I can read myself. I have my own philosophies. As the Buddha explained, you must experience what you think and let that be your teacher. So this experiential understanding is of great value. This protects us from being ideologues, from being caught up with ideas so much that we begin talking and believing and living on ideas we have not actually experienced foundationally. So experiential is another word. And the final word that I will leave you with is consequential. Consequential. Consequential knowledge. What does that mean? Consequential. What are the consequences of your thought? So many people sometimes have tremendous thoughts, wonderful ideas, but they have not thought through the consequence of those thoughts. And often they find themselves unhappy with the consequences. Now we can talk about this and, the second noble truth and Come on. There are many different angles that we can approach it, but consequential knowledge is extremely important. In my view, the Buddha had no doubt what he was doing. And the fact that we're talking about him today, thousands of years later, is because he understood consequences, the consequential nature of his positioning. And the same thing with Dr. Ambedkar. We can feel confident that if we assess correctly, if we decide, if we have confidence and the openness to go back and review, if we wind up in a situation where the consequences are other than what we think would be in line with Dr. Ambedkar's intention, and we surrender to his ideas and to Buddhism, and opt for experiential understanding rather than philosophical and ideological points of view, we have the best chance in the long run to leave something for the next generation so that they can feel that we understood not just Dr. Ambedkar and Buddha's teachings, but the intense compassion that is necessary to embody them in a meaningful way with serious impact on improvements, lasting improvements on behalf of humankind. Those are my thoughts for you today. And I share them from my heart to yours. And I hope I've given you a sense of not just ideas, but that I have lived these things and that they have made a difference in the world. And I am glad to answer any questions you may have.
Dear sir, we were attentively listening to you and we were not supposing to stop here. Okay, sir. Now I call upon Dr. Lokesh Kumar Nandeshwar sir and Dr. Umesh Herde sir to conduct an interactive session. Dr. Umesh Herde sir and Nandeshwar sir.
Hello. Is there any question regarding this webinar?
Sir, there is only one question and that is a very crucial one. And that question is, please send feedback link. That is not a question, that is a request.
Avtar sir, I
Sir.
think there is no any question.
Yes. We will wait a while if someone raise hand or ask question. As there is no one has asked any question. Thank you very much, Herde sir and Nandeshwar sir. Now I would like to request chairperson of this webinar, Honorable Dr. Devish Kambli sir, principal and head of Dr. Ambedkar Thought to deliver chairman's speech. Devish sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. I am delighted to be the chair of today's international webinar on the occasion of 131st anniversary of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Honorable Dr. Prashant Purkare sir the Vice Chancellor of Godwan University virtually, and a very talented and revered keynote speaker, Lama Rongrel, extremely well versed in Buddhist philosophy. And this topic today, 3 words for the hearts of Dr. Ambedkar and Lord Buddha's followers. I think in his 3 words, he have assessed the total philosophy of Lord Buddha, what he told in his Panchashri and Ashtanga Mark, the right understanding of what Dr. Lama sir has said, the right assessment. If you assess it correctly, your behavior, your relevance, confidence, and everything will be okay. Dr. Bukhare sir, in his address, has raised few questions and he has also answered the questions. He, while assessing the work and philosophy of Dr. Ambedkar, he said that the society has given him much pain, much neglect. Whatever bad society can do for him, that what Dr. Ambedkar has given him. He has given them constitution, which promises equality, justice, fraternity, and rights, human rights for each and every one. He has given brotherhood. He has given unity. He has given them integrity. He has given them the best of it is Buddhism. What he has done is he has done revival of Buddhism in India. What once Dr. Ambedkar said that if my mind was full of hatred and revenge towards society, then I could have destroyed Indian society. Which it would have haven't taken a few minutes to destroy it. But what he did was that he used his energy for reconstruction of Indian society, modern lines based on equality, integrity, justice, brotherhood, fraternity, and other things. What our Lord VC has said that what one man can do when we become hopeless that about whatever is happening around us, we lose faith in ourselves. But we should remember that what I can do has no limits. If the same thought would have crept in the mind of Dr. Ambedkar or the Lord Buddha, they would have not been Dr. Ambedkar or Lord. What they had done is that I will be the medium of change in this world. And Buddha has created a Buddhist world. And what Dr. Ambedkar has created is a modern India based on the principle of Buddhist philosophy. Lama sir, in his address, has taught us. He himself is an international teacher. He trains people. He is associated with the Ambedkar International Mission worldwide. He has traveled worldwide. He has wide experience. And through his experience, he has taught us Buddhism in a very concise, precise, and relevant words. The 3 words. What the 3 words which he has taught us today is assessment. Assess the problem properly. assess if we have a proper understanding and assessment of the problem, the solution which due to it will be the right solution. But if your assessment is wrong, then it will lead to a destructive or wrong solution, and it cannot be reversed. Then next, if you identify any problem, if it is relevant to deal with it, you can deal with it. If it is irrelevant, leave it. So by this method, we can, the assessment of problem will be if whether that problem is problem or not. If that problem is a problem, means if it is relevant to deal with it, then only, or else you will beat around the bush and the problem will be not tackled. And third is confidence in yourself. Confidence means that you can be the medium of change. You can, and you, if you think you can, you can, and if you think you cannot, you cannot. Means confidence in you. You think you can be the medium. He also taught us that what is education. He is an educator, international educator. What is the main aim of education is the cultivation of mind, which Dr. Ambedkar has also said, and Lord Buddha has also said, that cultivation of mind is the ultimate aim of education. And other thing, what he has said, that experience to understand. Means we have to experience to understand. There is one anecdote about Dr. Ambedkar, that somebody asked him, you are working for the Dalits and the underprivileged of this country, and the same thing is done by Mahatma Gandhi. He is also working for the Dalits and the downtrodden. What Dr. Ambedkar said is that I am like a mother to the Dalits and the downtrodden and the suffering people. And no, in Marathi we say a tai, a nurse, no nurse can replace the love and the affection that a mother can give to his children. This experience to understand. Dr. Ambedkar has experienced the pain of the people, so he has the right understanding, the right assessment of the problem, and so he has, besides having sympathy, empathy, he had empathy for the problem. What nurses can do is they can have mere sympathy towards the problem, and also the other words, what Lama said is that the consequences of the solution to the problem should not be create another larger problem. The solution should be to mitigate the problem and not to create the problem. That is what it means by consequences. Whatever steps, whatever behavior, whatever experiences, whatever assessment, whatever relevance or whatever confidence you use should be valued with the consequences. Otherwise, you do more harm than good to the humanity. I, on today's occasion, thank Andrel who have accepted our invitation to join us and to enlighten us on the very philosophy of Dr. Ambedkar and Lord Buddha, so that we have a better understanding, a better confidence, and better experience of the philosophy of Lord Buddha and Dr. Ambedkar. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Also, when Lama sir has finished his address, we were so engrossed in hearing him that we never thought it has ended.
Yes,
So
sir.
thank you, Lama sir, for engrossing us so much in the topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I call upon Dr. Lokesh Kumar Nandeshwar, sir, Head of the Department of Political Science, to propose a vote of thanks. Nandeshwar, sir. Nandeshwar, sir.
I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Subhan sir. I'm thankful to Dr. Prashant Bokhare sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Gondwana University, Gadchiroli, and the inaugurator of the webinar for giving a valuable time. I thank Dr. Devesh Kamble sir, Principal and Head of the Department of Dr. Ambedkar Thought, for encouraging us and giving a precious time and sharing his thought. I am also thankful to Mr. Dipankar Kamble, Honorable Member of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Education Society, Chanda, Bramhapuri, who delivered an introductory speech. I extend a deep sense of gratitude towards the Honorable Lama Ramdol for giving us an opportunity to listen him on the topic, 3 words for the heart of Dr. Ambedkar and Lord Buddha followers. I am thankful to Tufan Avtare, sir, the anchor of his webinar and coordinator of the Department of Student Development, to take initiative to conduct this event successfully. I especially thank Professor Rajesh Kose sir, Dr. Kuljale sir, and all the faculties of our college for their kind assistance. I thank all the respected participants for patiently listening this webinar. I extend a special thanks toward Dr. Umesh Herde sir for his technical support. Once again, I thank all of you for making this webinar grand success. Thank you very much. Participants are requested to submit their feedback. The link of feedback form is shared a WhatsApp group. The certificate will be issued to the participants within a week.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama sir.
With the permission of a chairperson, I declare here that this webinar is concluded. Thanks to all. Thanks, Lama sir.
You're very welcome.